My fellow Canadians, I come before you today as a humbled man. One of the signs of maturity is the ability to change your stance or change your position on an issue based on new evidence. This is a mark of maturity. New evidence presents itself. It forces you to re-examine a position you'd adopted, a stance you'd taken, and you sit there and say, well, I've got to re-examine my position. Well, that's me today. Now, a little background before I get into this. When I was younger, particularly, and even today, I love good fantasy, good science fiction. I loved the Star Wars things when I was, younger. And even today, I still like good fantasy, movie, TV series, books, and, what if scenarios, right? Like SSGB. What if Germany had invaded Britain and won? It's called speculative fiction. Ray Bradbury liked this. He used to call it not only science fiction, but also speculative fiction, which is, what if? Now, I was trying to think how to define this. What put my position? Prescience, or is the ability to see the future. So, this is not prescience. I don't know what the word would be. When I get into it, you'll understand. There probably is a name for it. I'm just unaware of it. We are in the presence, my fellow Canadians, of a truly gifted individual. Someone with an otherworldly gift that forces me now to sit there and re-examine, like I said, the position I'd taken regarding the NDP. I mean, after what Booby Ray did to Ontario, after what Rachel Nuttball did to Alberta, and what's currently going on in British Columbia under NDP governments, I used to just arbitrarily dismiss anybody who would vote NDP as stupid enough to vote Liberal. It's just... And now I sit there and I say, my God, I could have been wrong. And so, as I said, humbled. We now have in our country the head of a national political party that has an otherworldly gift that has left me absolutely awestruck. I refer you to his interview, Jagmeet Singh's interview with the newspaper. We're all aware of the white reservist, military reservist, who smashed his pickup truck through the gates of the Prime Minister's residence, and he was armed and drove onto the grounds and approaching the residence with a rifle. He was, of course, taken into custody with no harm being done. Jagmeet Singh has the ability to see an alternative timeline. Like, my God, I had totally underestimated the man. In his interview, he said, this is important, very important, his phraseology. He knows, not believes, not thinks, not feels that. He knows if it had been a person of color, a visible minority, or an indigenous person, the results would have been very different. I assume he means that whoever drove onto the residence would have been shot by the police. But because the perpetrator was Caucasian, he wasn't. I mean, think of that. Think of it. You can see an alternative timeline. For me, I guess because I'm more of a realist, I'd be looking for evidence of this, or an interview with a police officer who said, yes, if he'd have been brown, or if he'd have been a visible minority or a native, we'd have shot him. But no, you don't need that, because Mr. Singh can actually see an alternative timeline. And he knows that the outcome would have been different. Knows. And, I mean, there we go. If there was ever any proof needed that Canada is systemically racist. There it was right there. Doesn't that impress you the way it impresses me? I mean, I'm astounded. We are in the presence of greatness, ladies and gentlemen, and we didn't even know it. What can I say? I may have been wrong in the position I'd adopted. You think? Oh my God. I'm sorry. Okay, I could only carry this on so long. What a freaking moron! Talk about fanning the flames of racial divide and proof of systemic racism and the examples he brought up. I mean, one of them, the young lady who fell to her death from the balcony trying to escape the cops. Cops never touched her. She was wacko. Well, if your family was concerned about her mental state, why didn't you call a social worker? You called the police. They are police officers. They're not social workers. That Chowdhury guy that was killed in interaction with the police because he was off his meds. You're calling a cop. Why didn't you call a social worker? Why didn't you call a medical professional? Why didn't you call the paramedics? No, you called the cops. Things ended badly. And like I said, in the case of that lady who fell off the balcony, she's trying to get away from the cops because she's a nut job. So she fell to her death, and that's the police fault somehow. And that, of course, to Mr. Singh, this is a police problem. Oh my God, fathers. So we are systemically racist, Without talking to you, if you are Caucasian, you are systemically racist. The blanket characterization of an individual or a group of individuals based solely upon their color, isn't that racism? Once again, ladies and gentlemen, hypocrisy rules. So there's my morning little commentary, if you will. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Listen, my fellow Canadians, I'm going to be doing another one on what's going on Parliament Hill right now. But for the interim, stay safe, be well, and God bless Canada.